Everyone says they want to be independently wealthy. Wouldn't it be nice to have enough invested where if you didn't want to work, you wouldn't have to? Enough money where you could spend the time working on things that really brought you personal fulfillment? This is an idyllic dream that many of us believe is just out of reach. But the truth is that it is very possible, but most of us are letting fear and greed keep us from achieving these goals. Fear and greed, you ask? How do those two emotions keep us from getting rich? Well, that's the question I'm going to answer in this video. Hello, my friends. My name is Kobe Hunter, and my goal is to give you guys the tools to succeed in life. This goes professionally, financially, and personally. So today I'm going to show you how your emotions are actually preventing you from achieving your dreams. If that sounds interesting, let's get into it. First, let's talk about fear. According to dictionary.com, fear is defined as, quote, distressing emotion aroused by impending danger, evil, pain, etc., whether the threat is real or imagined. Notice the use of the words real or imagined. It doesn't matter if you're actually in danger. Fear can still affect you. For example, when you're watching a scary movie, or on a roller coaster ride, or at a haunted house, you still feel fear even though you know logically that in all of those situations you are totally safe. There's nothing that can actually hurt you, but you still feel afraid. In these situations, besides making a fool out of ourselves, there's really not much that we can actually do that would negatively impact us. But that isn't the case in the real world. By letting fear control our decision making, we will unnecessarily make our lives worse and oftentimes lose money doing it. The world thrives off of fear. It sells so well. Think about what you hear on the news. X political leader is going to do Y thing that's going to ruin the economy, or X business is going to go bankrupt, or there's an everything bubble that's going to burst, or the economy is down 20% and it's going to go down another 20%. Get out now! Another great example is all these videos projecting a complete economic collapse and recession due to China's failing property market over the last couple of months. Well, 21, 29, or whatever number of days these doomsdayers proclaimed have come and passed, and guess what? We are still chugging along. The reason why there is so much negativity and fear-mongering about things is that it sells remarkably well. Our animal brains are coded to fear because if a human listened to its fear 10,000 years ago, he or she wouldn't get eaten by a lion and would thus pass on their genes. It was better to have false alarms than no alarms at all. Even with this video, many of you clicked on it because you were worried, or in other words, afraid that you wouldn't get rich because of your emotions, or you were afraid that your emotions would keep you from getting rich. It seems like we as humans are naturally drawn to negativity. Hence, many people make a career off of prophesying doom and gloom. Despite what people say, if you have a long-term financial outlook, everything will be okay. Now, you might be looking at me skeptically, but if you can just ignore the doom and gloom and keep following the basic financial principles of living below your means and investing money into reliable investments like blue chip stocks, the S&P 500, and broad spectrum ETFs, even the largest financial calamities can't hurt you. To prove my point, let's look at the three most recent financial collapses. Jumping back into the early 2000s with the dot-com bubble, if you bought into the S&P 500 at the absolute top before the drop and you just did nothing, you would have broken even 7 years later. And assuming you continued to hold on, you would have made 2.5 times your money from doing absolutely nothing by the point of today, which is 2022. For our next case study, let's say you bought in right before Lehman Brothers collapsed and did nothing. Well, in just 3 years, you would have broken even in 2011 before seeing your money triple in value over the next decade. And finally, if you didn't freak out when the pandemic hit, your investments would have been back to where they started only 6 months after the drop. Now again in 2022, we've seen the stock market fall, and every major news channel is talking about a recession and further economic collapse. But you don't need to be afraid. Over the last 100 years, the stock market has always gone up in the long run, and nothing about our modern day is going to change that. As long as you don't need the money in the short term, a recession can't hurt you. To be clear, you shouldn't be putting all your money into risky investments because a guy on the internet said that a recession can't hurt you. You should still follow sound investing principles, keep a 6-month emergency fund, and work hard in your job to make yourself indispensable. Just like storms, recessions come and go, but if we are properly prepared, we don't need to fear. Now I can hear you saying that 6 or 7 years is an awful long time to be in the red, and you are absolutely right. However, that's where the magic of dollar cost averaging comes in. Essentially, it's been proven by study after study that time in the market beats timing the market. And if you just regularly buy into the stock market, you will make more money than the guy or gal who can time things perfectly. Some people buy in daily, others weekly, bi-weekly, and others monthly. I personally think doing it every 2 weeks when you get paid is a great system, but as long as you keep buying in, you will make really solid returns. Let's jump back to our previous example to show the impact of dollar cost averaging. In the 2008 financial crisis, if you would have continued to buy into the S&P 500, even as the market dropped to a low of 800-ish, by the time you broke even with your pre-Lehman crash investment, you would have more than doubled your money that you were dollar cost averaging in throughout all those years. There's an old saying that riches are made in recession. The best investors look at falling stocks like a sale where they can buy even more of their favorite companies at a lower price. I do want to put a disclaimer here that not needing to fear is assuming you are well diversified with a long-term outlook. As you can see in my Palm Pilot video, by the way, you should totally check that one out after you're done with this video, even the largest and most successful companies can fail. If you have a ton of your portfolio in one company or sector, like Netflix, Tesla, Bitcoin, or Meta, or some other singular investment, there is the possibility that that company or product could fail. I'm not saying you should go out and fire sell your Netflix stock at a huge loss right now, but I am encouraging you to diversify your portfolio. In my opinion, the peace of mind a diversified portfolio brings is worth millions. Before we jump into how greed keeps us from wealth, if you've enjoyed this video thus far, give it a like so more people can see it. And if you think you'd like more videos like this one, consider subscribing. It really helps me out. So fear isn't the only emotion that keeps us from getting rich. The other emotion that holds all of us back is greed. Now you might be thinking, wait a second, isn't greed just wanting money and stuff? And if I want that stuff, I'm gonna work harder and thus get it, right? Well, the problem is not with wanting these things, it's with wanting them too much and not controlling that want. Again, according to dictionary.com, greed is, quote, excessive or rapacious desire, especially for wealth or possessions. As you can see in that definition, the thing that makes greed is an excessive desire. It's natural to want a nice car, house, watch, vacation, or any of the other trappings of wealth. But the problem with greed, much like fear, is that we oftentimes let our animal instinctual brains take over our logical brains. We logically know that we need to live within our means now so we can save and invest for the future. But we want to have the feeling of being wealthy now. So many of us buy the most expensive phones, watches, designer handbags, expensive cars, big houses, and vacations to exotic locales. Not just for our own personal enjoyment, but to portray to the world that we are wealthy and successful. Now, to be fair, I'm not saying live off ramen and beans for the rest of your life and never do anything fun or have anything nice. But I am saying that we need to be logical about our spending. If we are putting off saving money for the future so that we can buy things that won't make us happy and that we really don't need, we are just hurting ourselves. No business will ever tell you that their product won't make you happy. We have to deduce that for ourselves. Every company touts their product as a ticket to freedom or coolness in a box. But the reality is that spending to impress others will never make you happy. There's a really interesting principle from business strategy that applies really well here. Harvard Business School professor Clayton Christensen said that every product is hired to solve a problem or job to be done, and products compete with other products that are trying to do the same job to be done. He talks about this job to be done framework in order to help businesses create better products for their customers. Sometimes completely different products are all being hired to do the same job. Let's say, for example, you're wanting to plan a chill date with your significant other. A musical at the theater, a movie at home, a paint at Pottery Place, and a walk through a botanical garden can all be hired to do this same job. Most would agree that although some of these experiences have similarities or similar attributes, the lay person would not think of a Pottery Place as being in competition with a theater, but that's actually what's happening. Another example of this job to be done mentality is the Match Group's argument against being a monopoly. They claim that they don't have a monopoly over online dating because they are also competing with in-person activities rather than just the dating app space, where they own 85% of the market share. By the way, if you'd like to learn more about the monopoly of online dating, check out this video I made and you can watch it after this one. But you're probably wondering why I'm talking about jobs to be done with greed. And that's because understanding what jobs to be done you are hiring a product for can actually help you better understand if it's your animal brain or your logical brain driving you to make that purchase. When you are presented with a purchase, ask yourself, what job to be done are you hiring it for? Are you hiring it to look cool to others or to fill a functional need of yours? Let's take shopping for a new phone as an example. You're deciding between the iPhone 14 and the iPhone 14 Pro. Are you considering spending the extra $300 on the Pro because you really want the extra camera, the faster processor, the always-on display, and the higher refresh rate? Or are you buying the Pro because, yeah, it's got some more cool features and stuff, but the Pro is the fanciest one and you want to have the nicest phone of all your friends? It seems kind of silly, but people really do this all the time across a wide range of products. Another example is car shoppers buying entry-level Audis or BMWs. You could get a Volkswagen with more features for pretty much the same price as the most bare-bones Audi. Or you could get a Kia with better performance than a BMW, but no BMW brand name for the same price. People who buy these entry-level luxury automobiles are at least partially hiring the car to fill the make myself look cool job to be done. This isn't necessarily bad, but you need to recognize that you're doing it. One last example is Fabletics and Lululemon. Some of Fabletics shirts, like their polos, are just not as good as Lululemon polos. But Fabletics pants are definitely better than the ABC pants that Lululemon sells. And although I've never personally used any of the ladies' stuff, I assume similar things hold true. So how much of our Lulu purchase is for the logo on it and impressing others, rather than just hiring it for the job to be done of quality, comfy athletic or athleisure wear? When we think about why we are buying a product or experience, we are more likely to be truly happy with our purchase. If you buy things for the job to be done that makes you happy and not the job to be done to show off, you will enjoy things more and will save lots of money doing it. If you try to play the competition game and have the coolest phone, car, house, bag, or watch, there will always be someone with something bigger or better. If instead you choose to buy things because they make you happy, you won't feel the pressure and emptiness of trying to keep up with the Joneses. People don't wear their financial health on their sleeves as a sign of coolness, and unfortunately our animal brains seem to think that because someone has an expensive thing, their bank account must also be overflowing, which thus must make them cooler, right? This just isn't the case. Greed is an extreme fixation with wealth and possessions, and ironically, most of us are actually trying to appear wealthy rather than actually become wealthy. Just like people make stupid decisions when they're afraid, people let greed take over and convince them to buy ridiculous things. Think about this for a second. How stupid is it that people pay twice as much for a belt with an LV on it than a belt with a C on it, despite being made out of the exact same material? Or how this bag costs $395 and this bag costs 8 times that at $3,100, and they are both made out of the same material with the same general design. Now, if you want to spend your hard-earned money on designer bags and you've already put 30 to 40% of your post-tax income into savings or investments, then go right ahead, go for it. I won't judge you. But for everyone who can't afford to buy these expensive status symbols, don't. You don't need to pay to impress people. You yourself are what they should be focused on anyway, not some stupid belt or bag. Over the next couple of weeks, I want you to practice not letting doomsday predictors get to you. Practice buying things because of the job to be done, excluding the showing off job to be done. And just enjoy things for what they are. I promise that if you do this, you will be happier. You will save money, and in 10 years, your investments will be much, much bigger. If you guys feel like this video was helpful, give it a like for the YouTube algorithm so more people can see it. And consider subscribing to get more content about business, finance, and entrepreneurship. Thanks again for watching, and don't ever forget that you're awesome. I'll see you next time.